Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the No Closer Show. As always, I'm Scott Carson. Excited to be here with you today. I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for watching. Always great to get the emails and responses and social media posts from you guys out there that you're listening and love what we're doing. So thank you so much. Keep them coming. It helps us when we're rocking and rolling along and looking for content. Or as also an idea too, if you guys have an idea for a show or a topic you'd like us to discuss, feel free to let us know about that. But today's topic is, I think it's going to be a hot button topic for a lot of people. And it's going to, you kind of fall on two sides of the fence for the most part. You have people that are using their own money, and that's nothing wrong with that. It's a great thing. You've saved, you've worked hard, you put in time in a job, you've got a 401k, you rolled over to a self-directed IRA, or you've got funds from deals. That's a great thing. And then you also have the other side of the fence, those that don't have a lot of savings, those that are using or needing to use other people's money to make things happen. And there's no fault to either side of the equation. There is one thing, though, that I see on a consistent basis, and I want to warn you. I definitely want to warn you against falling into this trap. That's a mind trap. So one of the things that I've dealt with over the years is we have people come in and I'm working with our mastermind members, or I'm talking to other people through the workshops, and people that have money. That's a great thing. By all means, it's a great thing. They often will say, they often slough off on the marketing for raising private capital because they want to do one of two things. And these are the biggest lies. Maybe not the biggest lies, but lies that people tell themselves. I always hear this situation, well, before I share it with my audience, I have to prove that this works, or I have to prove the concept of things. Or before I borrow somebody's money, I got to prove that I can do it with my own funds before I do that. And that drives me bonkers because there's a couple of things that happen. The reason it drives me bonkers is people will use their own money. There's nothing wrong, like I said before, using their own funds to buy note deals, okay? Real estate deals, whatever. What is wrong, though, is if they have a limited amount of funds, 100 grand, 50 grand, 200 grand, whatever it might be, and they invest that money, but then they don't follow up with other people's or keep doing other deals. They buy those two deals with their funds. They're working through those deals that can take 3, 6, 9, 12 months to make happen. And they don't make any other offers on other deals. They don't make bids because they don't have any more funds to use on themselves. And they don't market to their warm audience online. They don't do any of that marketing because they bought into this trap of self-sabotage where they don't, I got to use my own funds first. I got to make sure that these 2 deals or these 3 deals or these 4 deals or this one deal works out before I go out and raise private capital. And the thing that it doesn't crack me up, but I always smile when I hear this. I'm like, listen, I can appreciate that where you're coming from, but if you don't start now, what's going to happen if you don't start now with raising capital or doing the marketing or doing putting that foundation in place so that when you do see a big tape or you do see a large asset, something that you don't have the funds for, you can tap into for raising capital. I see this again and again with people who use their own funds and then they want to buy another deal. Well, they don't even bother with it because they don't have their own funds themselves and they haven't put the time in raising capital. And honestly, it's a mixed bag. A couple are actually quite a few of our best students fall on both sides of the fence. Some didn't have the money, and it was a blessing in disguise because they were forced to raise private capital. They were forced to start marketing. I fell onto that path. When I got in the note business, I didn't have a lot of private capital, so I had to start marketing. I had to start posting deal flow, stuff that we're working on, reaching out and say, hey, I got a deal that I'm working on. Because I was hungry. I had to go find it. I didn't want to miss out on these great deals. And then I see a lot of people that, I've got my own funds and I'm just going to invest my own funds. And if that's completely the way you want to go, that's fine. But I see people that these deals drag on longer than 6 months. And if you count on a deal taking 6 months, it better be in a fast foreclosure state. Okay. Unfortunately, I've got some friends that they were told that foreclosure started on like a longer state, like Illinois or Ohio or Florida or South Carolina, and the assets they were barely filed, so they still had a longer foreclosure time frame than 6 months. And now they're stuck having to work through those assets a little bit longer. And they haven't made as much offers in the long run. And let's face it, we are all here to make money, right? We all have goals of either making, I don't care what it is, 60 grand to tell your boss to kiss their butt, or 100 grand, or 250, or $500,000, or to help you retire your spouse, or put your kids through college. We all have big goals. And if we want to accomplish those goals, you've got to put the things in place to make things happen. You've got to build the foundation of what you're doing on a regular basis, of the social media posts, of the sharing, the deals you're working through, the deals that you're making offers on. Because that's the most important thing you can do. If you don't share what you're working on and you want to make big money later on, you're going to eventually run into problems. Okay? You're going to run into problems with deals running longer. Okay? And then you may be running out of your own money for your own deals. And then you're stuck like, well, what do I do? Or you have something else happen. You got another deal that pops up. You're like, I really want to dive into that. But you're now paralyzed because you're like, well, I should have started this and I didn't do this. And so I encourage all of you, everybody out here, and if you're watching this and listening to this, thank you so much. Do me a favor, do a hashtag OPM in the comments on Facebook Live. You're watching. If you're listening on the podcast on iTunes or Stitcher or Google Music Play or any of those platforms, hey, thank you. Drop us an email. Would love to hear from you. As always, you can reach me directly at scott@thenoteclosershow.com. All right. We are here to help you overcome things. So if you're running through that hurdle, look, there's simple things that you can do. All right. And let's put it in a different perspective. If you had to go out and get hired somewhere, and we all come from previous positions, I think we can all agree to that, right? We all come from positions where we had to start somewhere before. We didn't become a note investor straight out of the womb. And I have to give Anthony Ruiz a big shout out, who was our guest yesterday on the previous episode about overcoming obstacles, where people were thinking of him as a construction worker because he's done it for 20 years versus a note investor. I know that we all have that happen. People think it was either as the insurance salesman that we work for, or the realtor, or the tech guy, or the engineer, whatever it is. They think of us as one thing, and they don't see us in a different light. The reason they don't see us in a different light is you're not sharing what you're doing in a different light. And I get it. If you're working a full-time job and your boss is not cooperative, you got to do it a little bit on the down low. Okay. You've got to do it as, hey, you're working in retirement deals and stuff like that. Okay. Totally understand that. You don't want to burn a bridge if you got to put food on the table initially, or you got other benefits that you need. I get it. The thing you've got to realize is you've got to start sharing information now, what you're doing. Thanks, Cedric Wilson. Thanks, everybody. You've got to start sharing that information across your platforms. And we're not talking anything difficult. Look, if you got a picture of a property and you're trying to sell an asset, I got into a guy the other day. He's like, oh, I got these 2 assets I need to sell. I'm like, okay. And he goes, I got an asset in this one area in South Carolina, or I got this one asset in this other area. I'm like, okay, you got to put more than that. Okay, you've got to put a picture of the property, talk about the deals and the information that you've got on the asset. What makes this a desirable offer? Okay. And a lot of people won't do that. And it bogs my mind because they don't think about it first. I get it. What I love the fact, though, is if you're using private money to fund your deals and you get in the habit, as that's your way to initially fund things, and then you bring in other investors' money to fund your deals, that's a phenomenal thing. I know quite a few people that are doing that. Our buddies Wayne Snell, Adam and Jen Adams are doing that. You know, a variety of people are using their own funds to fund the purchase, okay? And then they're bringing other people's money to refinance them out of the deal in 30 to 45 days once everything's settled and things like that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a great aspect. You keep rinse and repeating. That's a great way to use your own funds. It's a smart way to use your own funds because now you're using leverage to help you exponentially grow your business. You buy one, boom, refinance it, and use that money to double down, buy another one. That's the way that you can really play Monopoly in real life with a note business, is using other people's money to do that. Now, if you remember in the game Monopoly, you start out with your own funds, or you can buy, or you can leverage, you can mortgage, you can sell off assets, okay? Okay. It's all about that game. You don't have to prove concept to buy a house. You don't have to prove concept to buy a mortgage. Mortgage debt has been bought and sold for centuries. Okay. And if you use the concept, you have to prove, if you use a word, you have to prove concept, you're only feeding into your hurdle, your 4-inch hurdle between your ears. Sometimes it's 6, depending on how big a head you have. If you got a big old man like me, it might be 7. Who knows? You have to realize using other people's money is a benefit. It's not something to be afraid of. And that's where I see a lot of people that have their own funds, whether it's 50 to 100 to 200,000. They like, I'm going to just use my own funds. That's fine. But at some point, you're going to have to start diving into using other people's funds. So you might as well start from the beginning versus waiting 6, 12, 24 months to get around the market. Now you're 6 to 24 months behind, and you've built this bigger roadblock, and you're like, well, I can't. Well, whether you think you can or can't, you're correct. And I only say this because at some point in my past, I don't remember when it was, I think it was like 5, 6 years ago, I had that same kind of hurdle. I'd gone through some deals that were dragging on longer. I'm like, oh, I'm using my own money on this. I can't refinance people out, or I can't use my own money. And I just didn't think about, well, why can't I refinance myself out of the deal? It's still a good deal for the investor. I'll make it a little bit less return, but I can use that money that's in the deal to go find something else, to go fund something else, and allow me to rinse and repeat a couple more times. And let's face it, it's all about the velocity of capital. All right. If you come in and use, let's just use an example, 25,000. Use 25,000 to fund a deal. Boom, you end up getting somebody refinancing at 30. Well, you just put $5,000 in your pocket, and maybe for some expenses, just say you end up saving 1,000 on that extra 5,000 doesn't get spent. Well, hey, that's a little bit extra return on it. The ability to take that $25,000 and go buy another one just doubled your velocity capital. Okay. And if you did the same thing after a month, boom, refinance somebody in, buy another one. You just completely tripled your thing. Okay. Let's say you buy 4 notes in a year with that $25,000 and you use your money initially. Well, if you were just to use your money initially, you've got one deal that may take a year. But if you come in and use other people's money, you quadrupled your potential returns. All right. You quadrupled your money and the strength of it. All right. Because any money you make without having to use your own money, even if you get refinanced, that is an infinite rate of return. Okay. And that's what you have to think about. That was one of the hardest things that I've ever had to look at too. Is I'm just using, I got money, I'm gonna use my own funds. I want to be greedy. Well, I was actually being really stupid, not greedy. When you start thinking, because there's one number that unites all of us. And I don't care what you are, whether you're a fix and flipper or a wholesaler, it's ROI, return on investment. Okay. But also you have to think of another number called ROT, return on time. Okay. Return on time is important. All right. And you could have a great ROI, but if your ROT is horrible, that's where the velocity of capital comes. And Eric Bonvint Einholz, I want to say thank you. He says, good advice. I've used all my resources. In raising capital now. Just lined up $150K from 2 different investors. That's great. Look, there is so much private money sitting out there. And as Charles Hill shared earlier, OPM is the way to go. Lots of hard money can't find deals right now. I agree to that in part, Charles. A lot of times hard money lenders just can't seem to pull their head out of their ass to understand the note business. Yes, they don't mind financing REOs and fix and flips because that's what their business model has been for. But when the REOs dry up and when money is cheap, you've got to change your business model. And a lot of times hard money lenders don't understand the note game, the note concept. They don't understand buying a note on a note, okay? Or buying a defaulted note when they've been creating notes all along. It's a mind block they have. And I wish I could take my black Louisville Slugger here and bang upside their head and let them understand, because there's a huge opportunity if they do that. Now, the thing about hard money lenders and notes is non-performing notes, you don't know the way it's going to go. In 6 months, you could still be working through a foreclosure. And a lot of hard money lenders, they're making their points on the velocity of capital, how fast they can turn it. Well, if their money is sitting idle for 6 months and they're not getting invested, they might as well have it in something, making something instead of nothing. Okay. So I think hard money lenders, if they could understand the concept of buying notes, even if it's a mezzanine financing position of 30 to 60 days, giving other investors the opportunity to purchase the asset and then come in and get them refinanced out with other people's money, cheaper money, I think they would make a killing on stuff. Okay. Eric Bonavia says, money is infinite, time is limited. Amen to that, brother. That's why I love ROT just as much as I love ROI. Okay. What other questions do you guys have? Look, raising capital is easy if you will just get out and market your deals, market who you are, get out and talk, share your message. I know I see a lot of people that haven't closed on 20 deals or 10 deals, which is a little scary. There's nothing wrong with it, but they're actually going out and sharing their message, which is a beautiful thing. They're sharing out their knowledge and they're not afraid of taking action. They've closed on some deals. They got some more case studies. They're using those case studies to the best of their ability to raise capital. And if you think about it, there's nothing wrong with it. Every other job you've ever done, you all had to start somewhere brand new. And you use case studies where, I'll just say, as a banker, when I was a banker for JP Morgan Chase or a financial advisor, selling Smith Barney funds and things like that, I wasn't the best, but I used training. I was trained what to say, how to work it, how to learn it. And that's the beautiful thing in the note business, in the real estate business. Look, there's plenty of case studies, plenty of things to talk about the deals or the types of deals that you do or what you're looking for in a deal. Draw your strength from that and that you're surrounded by really great people, okay? Understand that you have that beautiful thing working for you, okay? And that's amazing thing, and draw strength from that. Now you surround yourself with other people. That's the thing. That's the thing that can be uplifting to you as well. Cedric asked a question. I know there's a session in Note Camp on this, but is crowdfunding a good strategy to put in your business model? So one of the things that I went to a few years back was the Crowdfunding Institute, Crowdfunding College. Took a class there for a day in Vegas with Ruth Hedges, I believe her name was. And she said one big thing. Look, crowdfunding is a great concept. It's a great thing. It's been around for years. If you're marketing, you're crowdfunding. If you're out talking to people, you're crowdfunding, okay? Just because you pay money to be on a crowdfunding platform or to put a PPM together is worthless unless you're going to share the message or you're going to share what's going on. So the same concept of building an audience, building a tribe, building a following is important. It's more important to do that on the front end versus go out and spend 50 grand or 15 grand or whatever it costs you to put your Reg D or your Reg A together or whatever it is. That's the thing I need to keep in mind. Yes, we'll have Jillian Sadati speaking on crowdfunding, which is if you're wanting to really take your business to another level. And I don't think you really need to look at that until you've raised $1 million. Paying for a private placement memorandum is stupid if you've never closed $1 million in private funds. You've never done $1 million worth of JV deals. It's silly. But crowdfunding, the strategy of going out networking, is the same concept there, Cedric. Okay. Thank you for asking the question. Charles Hill says, changing my personal brand is an uphill thing for me, but an IT expert for 20 years here. Yeah, you do have a bit of a challenge for you, but the beautiful thing, Charles, is I'm willing to bet you've been an active real estate investor for a little while. If you think back to when you bought your first house or you've done any fix and flips along the way, drop on that. One of the great things I love to tell people when they send their first Lionel Richie email out, what I mean by Lionel Richie is, hello, is it deals you're looking for? Is to send an email out to your database and say, hey, yeah, many of you have known that I've been an IT expert for the last 20 years. Many of you probably did not know, though, that I've been an active real estate investor for 5, 6, 7, 3, or 12 months, okay? I have been focused on buying these types of deals or this deal or that deal, okay? That's a thing I want you to understand is we all start somewhere. And I guarantee you're not the only IT expert out there who is thinking about what's coming up around the bend. Am I making enough with what I'm doing? Do I need to look at something else? Am I getting too old and am I going to be put out to pasture? Okay. Those are the things that you keep to look at. And we all are looking for retirement. If you saw the article that Jeffrey Wolf posted on the WCN crew or on Facebook the other day talking about how 42% of Americans will retire broke. That's a big audience. And look, if you're doing something completely different than what your normal job is as an IT expert. Just is part of your retirement. It's part of your hobbies. You buy and sell real estate. That's what you're doing with your note business, and you've just got to brand it. There's nothing wrong with that. If you were going to start a cookie company, you're going to start a pizza place or a bar, what would you be doing? You'd be creating stuff. You'd be sharing things with people. Say, hey, I got this other thing I'm doing. And the thing, it's a thing I just don't seem to understand why there's such a hurdle for it. I don't know if it's because of finances or what it is. You have to realize that you're only hurting yourself if you're not taking the little things to do. If you're not doing the things on a daily basis, if you start making it a regular habit or a weekly habit of an email or a blast or, sharing deals that you're focused on, it becomes relatively easy, relatively quickly because you get in the use of it. Yes, it's not as easy as what you would be doing after 20 years in the job, but with 20 years in the job, you've got over 10,000 hours of expertise on it. You've got to start those hours of expertise somewhere in sharing the message, sharing what you're doing, networking, and really putting those plans in place to make that side trip, to move in a different direction. Okay? Does that make sense to you? Hopefully it does. Whoops, hang on here. Yeah, sorry. Closing some things down. Things are popping up. What other questions, comments do you guys have out there that I can help answer for you on this? Look, I get it. It's easy. We're all lazy people. If I had $1 million in here, I wouldn't be raising capital. Am I right? But I haven't gotten to the point where with all the deals that we've done, I've done a lot more than what I would have ever done if I just sat around on my haunches trying to invest my own funds. And that's an important thing to do. You've got to leverage your time, leverage your money. And listen, I get it. Especially if you're working full time and you're looking. It also depends. Let me sidestep a little bit here. It also depends a little bit on what your goals are. If your goals are to make 10, 12% return on your money monthly and you've got money on the sidelines not making that, yes, put that in place. I know that we've got quite a few investors that they want to make 10, 12% of their money. That's fine. They want to be active. Boom, they're buying performing notes. It's generating off that. Fine. They're good. They're happy. They're golden. If that's your goal, then by all means, it's completely fine. But I guarantee most of you need to be making more than 10 to 12% to get caught up or to catch up to where you ultimately want to be in a few years or decades so that you can retire. Because we all can agree it's going to be more costly in a few years than it is today. It's going to be, and you oftentimes going to want to live better than you are right now, the travel, the doing things. You don't want to sit home and watch TV and rot away in your couch, okay? That's the last thing that you want to do. And I guarantee people don't take into consideration, well, I can live for $5,000 a month on what I'm doing now. That's living, but is it really living? If you're barely getting by, is it living a life that you want to live? Or would you rather do the things? Would you rather take the trips or do the travel that you want to do? Now, I see the big problem with people also who don't reach out. They don't network. They don't do the things. And they are going out and doing things that aren't associated with it. And they, at some point, they're going to run out of funds and they need to come back, but they're just scared. And when I'm common to saying your why has to outweigh your comfort level or your fear. For you to really take action, your fears have to outweigh your comfort zone. Okay. It's the only way you're going to get off the couch to go to the meetup group. That's the only way you're going to get out of YouTube or Facebook to write the email, is that if you have fears of things happening and they're not overcoming, those fears get closer every day if you're not doing the things to make things happen. If that makes sense, everybody. So I want to thank everybody that's watching here. Charles, Randy, Frank, Fernando, Carrie. I appreciate all you guys that are watching here and join in and sharing and stuff like that as well. It's always a pleasure to have you guys around, and gals as well, because let's face it, today is International Women's Day. Let's give a big shout out and a big applause to our lovely ladies out there, the women in notes. I know behind every great man is an even better woman. I know I'm very blessed to have a couple very strong women here, Stephanie and Jennifer and other things that do a great job to help us succeed. I have to give a big shout out to a lot of the ladies who have helped over the years. Sandy Shaner, Ann Cox, Nicole Herman, my mom, obviously, put it up with me as a young brat. but you look back at things, and there's a lot of people along the way who have helped out. Jamie Kayla, Deanna Rogers. We've had a lot of adoptive moms along the way as well, and friends and students who've really become really good, our extended note family out there. And if I'm forgetting somebody, please don't take offense. It's not anything. I give a big shout out to a lot of our current Mastermind students, Karen Wall, Karen Peterson, Gail Greenberg. There's a whole variety of them. Lily O'Day, I haven't mentioned her in a while. One of the longest tenured Mastermind members out there as well, and who was a good friend when I was on my journey a few years ago, right off the back. So big shout out to Laura Blanc as well. There's a lot of amazing women out there that are doing some great things, and I'm so proud of what they're doing, because honestly, the note business is a very male-dominated society. The asset managers, the hedge fund guys, stuff like that. And if you're a woman, I honestly believe this business is a whole lot easier for you than guys. It's easier for women to raise private capital than it is for guys. Why? It comes down to the sales aspect of things. When a guy is trying to sell you something, sell you on a deal, no matter what you're, a guy or girl, you're going to have a wall that goes up. Okay? And with a lady talk about the same thing, the wall goes down almost immediately. All right? I've seen it happen time and time again in this business, where the ladies have an easier time of reaching out and talking to asset managers. They have an easier time in raising capital as long as they're showing what they know. Okay? It just is what it is. And ladies, if you're not going out and doing the things to do that, shame on you. All right? You're only hurting yourself and delaying your success out there. Big shout out to Katie Moton, who's doing an amazing job as well. Just absolutely loving it. Lisa de Guzman, Lisa de Castro, out there doing some great things. Lisa de Guzman with Keith Collins, and these guys with Frank Fiore. You guys are very lucky to have some really great women behind you as partners who are doing some great things out there. There's a lot of great people out there that are doing things besides just the ladies, but today's International Women's Day. So congrats and thank you for what you do. Getting back to the main topic here, Guy, you don't want to delay your success. If you've got a number you've got to hit, you need to start looking at how are you going to get to that. If you need to be making $100,000 a year, it means you probably need to be doing at least 10 to 15 deals a year. Well, if you only got enough money for 2, 3, or 4 deals, what's that mean? It means you need to start going out and raise another $250,000 or another $500,000 to put that money to work, to start exponentially growing your money that you need to do. So it's important. It's up to you guys and gals to go out and make things happen. I don't want any of you to delay your success. I don't want any of you to not find the type of money or the type of success, or the type of life that you deserve, that you want to accomplish, you want to have, you want to accomplish. You all can have that. It's very viable. You all can do the things that you want to do. You all can accomplish all your dreams. It's all up to you, though, if you're doing the things on a daily or monthly basis, even weekly basis, to really drive that team to success, drive your own wagon, I guess you could say, across the west of the wild, wild west of not performing. That paints a picture a little bit different. I guess that's what I get for watching 310 to Human last night with Stagecoaches. I'm going to have one that shows up. I have somewhere where I see Russell Crowe and Christian Bale with guns. Drive, go on, horses, get there. Let's raise that private capital. Because whether you like it or not, we've got a train waiting for us at the end of the tunnel. We've all got something that we've got to catch at some point. Some of us know the time. Some of us have a very specific date that we've got to get to. Others of us, we don't know the time. We don't know the time that we have left. We don't know how long this market will be. And that's why I always try to tell people on a day in, day out basis, if I had a crystal ball, I would not be here. I'd be in Vegas or I'd be other places, things like that. That's why you have to take advantage of the market where it's at right now. Look, there's so much private money sitting out there. If you're not marketing for raising capital or not marketing for raising private capital, you're only hurting yourself, okay? There are so many people with IRAs making nothing. They've got so many people that have 401ks or CDs sitting on the sidelines that are now 101ks or certificate of disappointments making nothing. Okay. If you have a half decent deal, not a skinny deal, but a half decent deal, and you share what's going on and share your knowledge and share the good, the bad, the ugly of it, you'll be a lot better off in the long run. And I know sometimes getting that first joint venture partner, that first funding partner, is the scariest thing. I can remember my buddy Wayne Snell. Maybe you know Wayne from Platinum Venture. He's been a guest on the show before. A few years back, Wayne was using his own money, and Wayne had been snake bit a couple times, so he's a little bit different than most people. Been very snake bit, and he'll share that in his story if you've heard him talk about it from an investor's deal that went south. And I remember he came down to San Antonio for the San Antonio Mastermind we were having at the time. And the first night, he went to the local RIA club, okay? And I remember him coming back the next day just jacked up, so excited because he talked to a guy there, raised 25 grand to fund his deal. And he's like, oh my God, it was so much easier than I thought it was. All right. So much easier. I talked about the types of deals we use as some case studies, and the person was like, yeah, let's do it. You know what you're doing? Let's do it. And I don't think Wayne had done a lot of deals. He'd done a couple owner finance deals at a couple rentals in Dallas. That's what you have to realize more than anything else. You're going to be selling yourself more so than your knowledge and experience of knowing what the hell to do when things go south. And that's why it's important to educate yourself. That's why it's important to know what your options are. Because if you're dealing with other people's money, you just got to be prepared and make damn sure that their money's be protected, and then just share that. And as we talked about before, you're buying first liens only on non-performing notes or on residential homes. You're buying below 70% of value. You're using insurance. You have attorneys that are doing all the work. You got great vendors, and you're obviously double checking values, taxes, and then the title. If you keep those things in mind and have a decent picture and share what your plan is and what the story of that asset is, there's nobody that will stop you from raising capital. The only person stopping you from doing things with OPM is you. So very easy, taking the picture of the property, talking about the story. Is it occupied? Is it vacant? What's your strategy with this? Oh, the borrowers showed interest in reperforming or modifying. If they don't bring money to the table, we're going to foreclose. Or borrowers told us to pound sand, so we started foreclosure 3 months ago. My attorney says we have another 6 months. So this could be a 12-month deal. Just sharing that story, sharing what's going on, that's half the battle. The other half of the battle is just getting it out and posting it in places where people will hear you. Because let's face it, we as note investors are a pretty friendly bunch. We want to see people succeed. Those that don't want to see people succeed don't hang around very long and often burn themselves out of this business relatively fast. So anyway, guys, if there's no other questions or comments out there, you guys can do amazing things. Ladies, you can rock this house. You can go out and do some things. Like I said before, it's easier for ladies and women to raise capital than for guys. But you've got to share the story, share the message to begin with. So if there's no other questions or comments, we're going to wrap this episode up. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys. It's an important thing. We've got our workshop this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I'm excited about it. It's our first workshop of 2018. Got a really good group of new students. I'm excited to share that message, share with them on that, because I've already gotten some questions from them. Well, what about this? And what about that? And look, we'll get to that. I'm excited for that. It's always a good weekend when I can share our message, because that helps us get even closer to our ultimate 5-year goal of helping over 10,000 people become note investors. Okay. Before we wrap up, Charles Hill says, I need a refresher class. I'm sure a few things are different since 5 years. Drop me an email, Charles. Okay. Gail says, I understand what Charles said. I've been in real estate part-time since 1979, licensed since 84, launched rockets for NASA for 26 years until my retirement last year. Rockets to notes, somewhat similar, right? It can be. You just need to you're a rocket scientist, Gail, so people know you're a smart cookie. So that's the thing you got to keep in mind. Don't overcomplicate it. Keep it simple, but it's a great way to raise capital and rocket your returns to the moon. So with that, I think we need a little drum roll for that to wrap it up for the day. You guys go out and make something happen. Do some great stuff. If you're going to be joining us this weekend, awesome. We look forward to having you. Otherwise, we'll see you all at the top, everybody. Have a great day.